So you're probably watching this video because you've decided to leap over to the fun side, to the manual mode side, and you have no idea what the hell you're doing. That M letter has been teasing you for the past 2-3 months while you're taking photos in auto mode. You switch the knob, you have no idea what the hell shutter speed is, what f-stop is, what ISO is, and you need some help. Guys, in this video, I'm gonna try and explain it in the most simplest possible way what the hell shutter speed is, how to use it, and how you can get different types of photos using different types of shutter speed settings. My name is Omar, I'm a photographer and a videographer, and every once in a while I like to do these educational videos to educate people who have just started out with their photography or filmmaking career and need a little bit of help in kind of figuring out what settings do what in the most simplest way possible. I am not a specific person. I've watched so many of these videos when I was starting out, and it was like 20 minutes of, it felt like I was in an algebra lesson because people were just getting so in depth, and all I wanted was simple. Nah, it's all good. And I find that people get way too in depth. I don't care about bit rate and megapixels and all that stuff. I just want to know how to get the settings that I need in order to take photos, and that is it. And I'm more than happy with that. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do today, guys. If you want to skip right to the bit where I just explain what shutter speed is and everything, then find the time where I do so here and just fast forward to that bit. But I want to explain a little bit about my photography experience and how I started out and everything. So yeah, let's get started. So I bought my first camera when I was about 20 years old. I had never really used a camera for photography before. I did like a filmmaking class when I was in school, but we used those like camcorders, so then we have to bother with anything. Everything was in auto mode, so I was more than happy. And then I bought my first camera. It was a Canon 600D. I now use a Sony a7S, which is somewhere here. Right there. And yeah, so that is my photography camera, but I started with a 600D, and it was a kit lens, and I don't know, I was just super ecstatic. I flipped that thing in auto mode, and I just went around and started taking photos. After about a month, 2 months, 3 months, I started getting pretty bored of taking photos because I just found that can you hear that? What the hell? I apologize if you can hear like a ringing sound. There is like a weapons arms factory right opposite my apartment building, and they're always doing stuff. But anyways, I started getting bored with taking photos because I was sick and tired of just turning it on, taking a photo, turning it on, taking a photo, as opposed to now where I'm always constantly changing the f-stop, the shutter speed, the ISO, white balance, all that kind of stuff. It's a lot more fun. It's kind of like a manual car, like you have an automatic car, turn it on, you drive, or you have a manual car where you got the clutch, the accelerator, the brake. So yeah, it's a lot more fun for me, and you can do a lot of cool stuff. But whoa, it has gotten very bright. But yeah, I remember being so intimidated when I turned to manual mode because my photos turned out so trash. And the issue was that I actually had no idea what the hell I was doing with the shutter speed. I was like, oh, the f-stop, okay, I'm gonna bring that up, it darkens the image. But then my photos were still turning out super blurry or just not sharp. And I was like, what the hell's the matter? And then my ISO, I would crank that up and it would be super grainy. And then my shutter speed, I'd bring that up, bring it down. I had no clue. It was a mess, and it was a good mess for I think about a month or 2 months. And I was just like, man, I wish I could watch a video that was super simple where I would figure out how the hell I could make my photos turn out just very normal. So that's what I'm gonna do today. It took me like 3 months to do, guys. I'm gonna try and get this done in like 10 minutes. So guys, shutter speed, that's what we're gonna talk about today, and another video I'll talk about f-stop and ISO. So shutter speed, guys, putting it very simply, shutter speed is how quick or how slow your camera takes the photo. So if your shutter speed is like 1/50th, so 1/50th of a second or lower, then the camera is going to take the picture very slow. So like this. If your settings are 1/50th of a second, your camera will take the photo like this. Okay? If your shutter speed is like 1/200th, 1/300th, 1/400th of a second, your camera is going to take the photo like this. Right? Now, if you increase that even more to 1/1000th, for example, it'll go like that. And then 1/2000th, quicker. If it's like 1/10th, it'll go like that. So anything below 1/100th of a second, your shutter is gonna take the photo slowly. If it's higher, then it gets quicker. Now, what is the reason for this? I will tell you Very simply, let's say you and your friend are at a park, you want to take one of those cool photos where your friend jumps up and you want to capture him or her in mid-air or right at the top. So with this, what you're gonna do is you're gonna crank up the shutter speed to like 1/800th, 1/1000th of a second. So when your friend jumps and you wanna capture them in midair, you have that high shutter speed, your camera's gonna go boop, real quick. So you're gonna be able to get your friend in midair as he or she is right at the top jumping. So it looks like, you know, they're floating. Now, let's say for example, you see those photos up, it's getting super bright. I'm gonna have to adjust the camera settings now. Now, let's say for example, you've seen those like cityscape photos at nighttime and all the cars have those light trails. This is a very popular thing when people are taking pictures of like the city, okay? Now, let's say you wanna get those light trails. How do you do that? Very simple. Bring the shutter speed down 1/50th of a second, 1/30th of a second, 1/10th of a second. Now, you need two things when you're doing these types of photos. One, you're gonna need a tripod. Why? Because the lower the shutter, the more blur you're going to get, because it's not quick, it's very slow, which means if there's any bit of movement when you're taking the photo, your camera is gonna capture that. So you're gonna wanna put the camera on a tripod so that the camera is as still as possible. Number two, you're gonna wanna take a photo on a timer. So set a timer to like maybe 10 seconds or 3 seconds. This will allow you to take the photo. When you take the photo, there is going to be a bit of movement. Because for example, let's say I do this, right? There was a bit of movement there. So what you're gonna wanna do is put the camera on a timer, a 10-second timer. Watch this. Right? I touch the camera, so now I have 10 seconds for the camera to get still again. Then when it takes the photo, the camera shutter is gonna go like that, because your shutter speed is super slow, and you're gonna get a very long, nice light trail. So that is how you do it. That is what shutter speed is, guys. It is basically how quick or how slow the camera takes the photo. 1/100th of a second, 1/500th of a second, 1/1000th of a second, and then higher than that, anything lower, you're going like that, you're going like that, you're going like that, and you can do a lot of fun things with different types of shutters. You can do the types of photos where, you know, you throw something in midair and you can capture it and it looks like it's just floating above your hand, and that's when you need a nice fast shutter speed, and you can take that handheld because the shutter is really quick, so it won't really capture any movement. You can also do types of photos where, for example, if you have a friend standing still and then you get them to shake their head about, you take that on a very slow shutter, their face is gonna look like they're, you know, shaking super quick, but their body is super still. So you can also do, this is my favorite one, I used to do this a lot. I'd go to the train station and I'd get like a friend to stand in the middle of the platform. You have the train coming in and you have the train going out. So you have two trains. And we would try and wait for both trains to come at the same time. And I'd have my friend standing super still. So my friend is still, but then you have the trains just going like that. And it looks like they're going in like lightning speed. So there's a lot of fun, cool, different types of things you can do with different types of shutter speeds. But guys, what I want you to do is make sure you go out, try these shutter speeds. What you're gonna have to do is, if you are increasing the shutter speed, your camera is gonna get darker, which means you're going to now have to start balancing out your f-stop and your ISO. If you are opening up if you are decreasing the shutter, so if you're going like, you know, 1/80th, 1/50th, the image is gonna start getting a lot brighter, which means you're gonna have to bring the ISO down and you're gonna have to increase the f-stop as well. So it is all about balancing. I'm gonna be explaining in another video what the hell f-stop and ISO is, because I don't want this video to be, you know, 30 minutes long. I want to keep it to like that 10-minute mark kind of thing. But with your ISO, when you do experiment with your shutter speed, if you are bringing your shutter down, bring your ISO down and then increase the f-stop a little bit, and that should help it. But I advise you, when you are increasing your shutter speed to like 1/800th, 1/500th, do not go above like, you know, 400 or 500 ISO on a bright day, because it's going to get your image looking very grainy, and you do not want that whatsoever, because that's nasty. But guys, I hope this educational video was educational for you, and if it was, please do let me know down below. Also, this video is 10 minutes long because I need to get that you know, ad money coming in. But yeah, once again, just to put it in a simple way possible, your shutter speed determines how quick or how slow your camera takes the photo. If your shutter speed is at a high number, camera's gonna capture the photo really quickly. If it is at a low shutter, it's gonna capture it very low. I tend to have very slow. I tend to have my shutter speed usually as a default setting because I take a lot of portrait photos. I tend to have my shutter speed at like 1/100th or 1/200th of a second. That's what my settings usually are always like. And then if I start taking like specialist type photos, then I start experimenting. But my default shutter speed setting is at 1/100th, 1/200th of a second, because my f-stop is usually really low at like f1.4, f1.8, and I always have my ISO at like between 200 to 300 ISO. But that is it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if this has helped, and leave a like, comment, and follow me on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe. Peace.